We're one of the leading producers of optical sorting and material handling equipment in the industry.
Tell me about this particular piece of equipment. What makes it unique among others in the industry?
This is our newest optical sorter. It's called the Taurus. Its primary focus is to remove foreign material. That would be off-color material, plastics, glass, those kinds of things from the product stream. What makes it unique is it's high speed. It's what we call good to bad ratio in the industry. In other words, you're trying to manage yield at the end of the day. So we want to take out your defect, but we want to take as little amount of good product as possible at the same time. So our ability to manage the customer's yield is a critical component of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Excellent. What fueled the need for it, and how did you find out about customers' need for this machine?
Well, I'll use a nut example if I could.
Sure.
So if you look in the food industry today, you know, the continued growth of consumption for walnuts, almonds, pistachios, you know, almost all of the tree nut family continues to just grow exponentially. At the same time, it's a global demand. Customers around the world are looking for that, and when they get that product, they want it to be basically zero defect. And so what we're trying to do is to accomplish that, and we're also trying to do that at the same time by not breaking the nut into small pieces, because premium product is a whole walnut half. So we want to handle that product as well as we can and produce it as cleanly as we can.
So going on that note, what sort of benefits or improvements or efficiencies could end users find from implementing this into their facility?
Well, again, we're trying to do it at the highest capacities in the industry. We're trying to do it and produce zero defect. And at the end of the day, we do that with an injection capability on 5mm centers. And so very, very, very little good product loss. And so when you're looking at an export product in particular, where that customer demands 100% nut removal or shell removal from the nut, that's what we're accomplishing.
So if we move away from the consumer, what is Key Technology doing to keep up with stringent regulations?
Well, we're challenged by more capacity. We're challenged by longer run times before you have to shut down to sanitize and clean your equipment. Those are big demands in our industry today. So we're trying to make the equipment, in some instances, run as long as 3 to 4 weeks before the customer literally shuts down to do a complete downtime sanitation. So they want to be able to do that always during operation. So we need to run faster, better, and smarter at the end of the day.
What are some of the cleaning features? Do you do clean in place?
In all honesty, our number one goal is to try and design the machine so that it requires as little cleaning as possible. So we have many different innovative clean in place systems, but our goal is to try and minimize those all the time.
Going into end users, what sort of things can you tell me about? I believe True Blue was the company?
Well, we have a blueberry processor in the state of Michigan called True Blue. They put one of these units in last summer, and they were really pleased with, again, its capacity, but its effectiveness in terms of making that really, truly high-quality finished product that they were looking for.
What does True Blue do, really?
Blueberries.
Blueberries.
Fresh and frozen. They also do some cranberries and other berries as well.
What was their problem that you guys solved? What was the need for implementation at True Blue?
At the end of the day, they were trying to do as effective a sort as they could possibly accomplish as quickly as possible. So to do that in the past, they would run the fruit, run it again, run it again, run it again to get that defect level down. We've been able to do that at a higher rate on a single pass.
Were there any obstacles as far as implementation at True Blue?
I think it was a newer technology for them, so there was a little bit of training up front, but all in all, I thought the acceptance of the product by True Blue and by us went really well.
How much potential, a number of customers or revenue potential would customers have in a similar situation? Would this solution work for them too?
Blueberry, what we call, there's wild blueberry processors and high bush blueberry processors. Any of those customers around the world would be able to benefit from this machine. So in the United States, when you talk high bush, you're talking Michigan, New Jersey, down into North Carolina. Those are typical growing regions, for instance. Some in California, all of them would greatly benefit. British Columbia, etc. But the reality is blueberry processors, cultivated and wild, would all benefit.
Obviously, all of our readers can't be here at the show.
Sure.
What would you say would be their number one takeaway from not only the show, but from Key? What kind of leadership into the future do you have for them?
You know, it is very clear when we listen to the customer that what they're looking for is ways to increase their yield as effectively as possible, and at the same time, they need that equipment to be, almost zero dependent on labor. Labor is becoming so much more difficult to find, qualified technical labor. And so we're trying to make machines as complex as possible on the inside, but as simple as possible on the outside to operate.